Sup shooters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today I have the pleasure of reviewing the B.S. Skinner and Delight EP from B.S. Skinner and Delight. I've already checked out a bit of Delight's material in the past, a really cool sounding mixtape. Switching over to here, can listen to this now, this collaboration between these two artists. I don't think I've listened to B.S. Skinner before, but we're going to listen to these 5 tracks from start to finish and hear what we think. Let's go. Vocal Yokel EP intro.
Now we know when we watch any performance of an artist, be it a dancer or an actor or a musician, we know immediately when the performance was forced.
Damn, man. Spitting truth up the top, man. You can tell when people are faking it. Bum 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 bum. There's like a darkness, a sort of a claustrophobia to this.
And we say it doesn't ring true, it's too artificial.
Oh no.
It doesn't seem to be natural.
Like there's so much stuff happening, it's such an intense sort of feeling to it.
Superior virtue has no intention to be virtuous, and thus is virtue. Inferior virtue cannot let go of virtuosity, and thus is not virtue. Superior virtue has no intention to be virtuous.
Okay, has no intention to be virtuous. So the good people are not trying to be good. They're just trying to be themselves.
Thus is virtue. Get with it.
There's a hell of a lot going on in a short space of time. It's very atmospheric. It's a very tense experience with all these kind of stuttery kind of synths and sample packs. All these different groups of elements that are kind of coming together to sort of sound like incredibly trippy, to be honest. It's very colorful. There's sort of a chaos to it, an organized chaos.
Okay, baby, I'm that. Now I'm gonna have a ball. You use muscle only at the right moment. When your opponent is hopelessly overextended and off balance, and you add a little muscle to it and you throw him across the room.
Damn, man. So not only is that person not real, you can take him down if you know when to strike.
But only then. You never use muscle at the wrong moment.
Oh, I get that. I understand what's happening now. I understand that for real. That's cool. You gotta wait for the right moment to strike, right? I'm assuming this is the right moment with this EP. This is kind of where we're going with Vocal Yokel. Is this EP talking up how people who like seem real when they're not? Is B.S. Skinner quite a good rapper? I haven't heard B.S. Skinner before. But we'll see. We'll hear, I mean. Not Serious. Not Serious. Featuring B.S. Skinner up next. Oh. Wow, that's quite intense. That pulsating bass there really gets pumped up in these headphones. It's kind of a cool kind of groove. I kind of vibe with it, eh? To the dun 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 dun. Kind of a swingish. Is that like swing triplets? It's very intense. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. It's a cool groove though. And you're getting all these chops coming in from Delight, who's fantastic on the decks, you know. Cutting up that intro like that and coming in for this intro for the second track. I assume that B.S. Skinner is going to come in a moment. It's just such precision in regards to how he's handling the decks. I'd like to know more about how this was created. Like, does he use other tracks for reference, or does he... Oh.
Ask my granny. Uncanny like I'm Stanley, come to watch me shoot the jammy. It's spoken open, carry, dirty, hairy, past his early 30s, getting surly if you disrespect his girly.
Oh damn, man.
Sneer from ear to ear, top tier. I'm Garth and I've got my lock leer.
Okay, alright, I dig it. I dig it. This guy's got away with words. He consistently rhymes these words. And these rhymes aren't kind of like for effect or whatever. He knows how to tell a story whilst articulating himself like that. Slinging and connecting those words together, keeping a solid groove and time with the instrumentation. It's dope.
Not to boast, diagnosed as most likely to get toasted nightly off the top ropes and Nikes. Feeling sprightly, keep my sound wound tightly while toes smash the speakers. Delight cuts it deeper.
Oh, Delight cuts it deeper. I get it. That reference to Delight and that.
Scare the sleepers like Jeepers Creepers. BS sweeps the leg when you think you got them pegged. A crane kick, then wax on, wax off. The lame spit, better quit with that soft trash talk. Deranged kicks, clever skips on a beat that knocks. Professor Yesser with that awe and shock.
Okay. That awe and shock. So I'm just kind of... He's saying a lot. I'm kind of trying to sort of connect the dots at the moment. I might have to listen to more of what he's saying here. That is very intense in these headphones. I'm assuming that's probably what the intense the purpose of it was. Nice photo work there. But that kick is side chains like that. That's effective. So this is kind of like serve in the place of a chorus, because this is like a 6-minute long track, isn't it?
It's not serious, that's life or death.
Cool. It's not serious, it's not like, it's like, that's life or death. Cool. So we finally come around to this, we had the introduction, we're talking about his granny and all that kind of stuff, and the Nikes on the top ropes, and now we're going to get a bit more context.
Yes, but BS, he likes to jest. He keeps it light, no stress with the drink and some cess. Caress the beat and digress off on the tangents how we planned it.
He takes his time with his delivery of these lyrics. He's very careful to stay within the 8ths and 16ths of the slow tempo. You know, there's like a legato-ish kind of feel. You know, like he holds his notes onto a last, like the next syllable. There's not a whole lot of, you know, like he repeats the rhythms that he rhymes. You know, there are gaps. Da 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 da. Like he does repeat the sequential rhythm parts. The phrasing and how they connect is really nice.
Decrease the bandwidth to focus on the opus. Hope you notice I'm the dopest with this musical mitosis. Divide and conquer from Oakland to Yonkers as I ponder on the contours, hips, and lips of my honey dip. This money shit got a lockdown pat. A rat-a-tat on the gnats who try to steal my at-bats. And that's case closed on fake bros and droves. So don't oppose me, homie. I'm kinda OG. 20 plus years hip-hop and then that's factual.
20 years. It comes across well. This guy's got away with words. He's always spent some time with a pad and a pen. Very creative wordplay. Evokes some really interesting imagery. You do get the feeling that he's kind of having he's having fun with this. You know, it's not super serious for him, but he's spent enough time in it to not need to take himself as seriously.
Wrapped a classical acoustic to dropping new shit. I keep it simple like a toothpick, doofus, ruthless blueprint. I'm fresh like some cool mint. Slightly dented to suspend the endless sentence. This dimension's tensions got me stressing. Don't have a penchant, so I'll pay attention till ascension and find my own.
Kind of reminds you of beat poetry a little bit.
Openings, focusing on ways to find adrenaline and dopamine.
That end line is kind of trying to find ways to keep himself interested after being so long in the game. You know, trying to find ways to entertain himself because he's done a lot. You know, while he might not take things so seriously, he's still trying to find joy in his art, and I can have a lot of appreciation for that. You know, he's got the money stuff sorted and everything like that, so it takes a bit more for him to get a hit. Keep it simple? Those vocal cuts keeping it simple. It's nice that Delight can craft them into a sort of chorus. I wonder how he makes these decisions to cut these tracks like this. Scratching is pretty on point though. Keeping that consistent swing triplet time. Oh, cool, little instrumental section, that's nice. Ooh, that is a really resonant bass section. That's a filthy amount of sub bass. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. I think it would just be these headphones, because they're really... And I try to consider what the musical elements, how the musical elements connect to the not serious part. It's a very kind of floaty, kind of non-committal kind of bass synth that's going on here. It's got a nice sort of warmth to it. The irony of this is I can tell that both of these guys take their craft very seriously. You know, a lot was said in those two verses, but there didn't appear to be a syllable out of place. The intent and the effort into the words and sequencing those rhymes like that. Yeah, it is a very old school kind of vibe to that. That was about 2001, I think. Yeah, hip-hop's changed a lot over that time. But I think that obviously there's still a welcome place for rappers like B.S. Skinner in his time and place. Cool, that's right. We had little modulations of the main theme instantiated there by Delight, and it was cool to have like these little kind of fill bits where we kind of change the rhythm of it, switch it to triplets or sixteenths, or like let the sample play out. It was a very neutral kind of musical sort of backing to what B.S. Skinner was trying to accommodate, to allow for there. I think that it's a great sort of chemistry between these two artists. You know, especially, yeah. Learning while the turntable turning. That kind of sounds like a spray can or something like that, doesn't it? These artists are obviously very, very comfortable with not having us come in straight with those vocals, you know, like having just 30 seconds of instrumental is kind of wild these days.
Yeah, I read fiction.
Exactly at that 30-second point.
Diction that needs to kick in after Delight completes his mission. With limited edition, sick men musicians. My weapon of choice is a big pen.
Alright, I dig it. Alright, so this is even, I think this is even slower than Not Serious, potentially. Really takes his time to pronounce the words that he wants to say, like, for emphasis. Like a big pen, you know, like, there's a swagger to that, there's a bravado, but it's kind of humbling at the same time, you know, it's doesn't seem artificial or inauthentic.
I wrote my own job description, so copper, listen, this is not traditional. I'm the pinnacle of caught you off.
This is literally just a root note and then a flat second, so there's like a Phrygian mode going on with the bass line.
Loft in the stars on a party barge. I point the guns to the deck and say hardy har. With my sneaks on fleek like Ferraris are. Describing me as like a diarrhea of irony. Whiskey in a winery, shifty when it's time to be. Mickey with my mini, getting tipsy in a library. I'm quite scary, parry and thrust. Give me the Glengarry leads while Toad Berry's a cut. BS, me, yes, I bust very corrupt. As we discussed, I'm an anomaly of honorary comedy, honestly. My biography is sacred geometry.
My biography is sacred geometry. Wow. Okay, we're going there.
My favorite alias in case they get onto me. Rockin' awkwardly sequenced drums with my progeny.
Sequential drums with my progeny. Learning while the turntable turning. Right, is that about him continuing to improve himself, or is it about other people learning from him while the turntables are turning? Yeah, they're learning while the turntable turning. I mean, it's a very simple chorus. It's relying on that initial musical concept that was instantiated at the start. It's the whole 4.5 minutes.
Bienvenidos to the latest in my arsenal. Genuine article. Regimen remarkable. A gentleman with the plan of a rascal. Told record load intimidating the tadpoles. A black hole in the depths of space. Not bashful, better bring the bass. Post haste, cause these are the breaks. So pay homage to my uncommon knowledge I purvey in pajamas. Now that's laid back language as I vanquish. Interchange the anguish with a free range pastime. Don't ask why, I'm a beast who eats feasts of beats and grease the pockets of the hobbit for the precious. No preface, I'm kinda getting restless, and so I'll wreck this without a necklace like I'm peckish for respect and shine. I bless this rhyme on loops like Vine. They don't swoop with the crew like mine. Nope. I'm mope dope while I'm skipping rope. They wish and choke to catch me in the side of their scope, but they can't see me. I'm a different species, best believe me. I'll make it look easy while they fake and look queasy.
Okay, we're coming back to the not serious and vocal yokel themes of people looking inauthentic and not serious.
Cheeky while I'm making jokes, so don't choke on my smoke as I go for broke. No okey doke, no tricks, no trap, no hope for the hopeless folk hustling hoaxes. And this is no bogus showbiz. It's getting down, spitting rounds on simple equipment. A little mischief to light mix the biz quick. Toad takes the evidence.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I'm quite impressed with the fact that he's sort of spitting this cleanly. Like, the rapping is coming through incredibly well. He's telling a story, and I kind of just... I don't really know how to describe how I feel about what B.S. Skinner is doing as a rapper and as a vocalist. I think that the story that he's telling is open to interpretation. Like, there's some parts of it that are very straightforward, but at the same time, I think that to truly judge a song like this, you've got to have your own sort of experience with it in full. I can understand why they've put the tracks in this order.
As for president, I'm in the house, residence, and edifice, from the birth to the exodus. Yeah. I'm in the house, residence, and edifice, from the birth to the exodus.
Learning while the turntable turning. So, like, is this kind of the inline kind of summing up or sort of concluding that he's continuing to learn even though he's on top and even though there's a lot of people around him who are learning from him? Constantly, he is writing and, like, basically this is his life and what he does, and you know, I can kind of, I mean, I know rappers who can struggle to get through a verse without needing to re-record parts. If you know, B.S. Skinner is doing this whole entire 4 minutes clean, then I've got a lot of respect for that. The vocal recording was well done. There were occasional double takes there, which were good to add a little bit of, there was a little bit of a delay there, I think, with the, where was the delay? If I go back a little bit to like here.
Birth to the exodus. Down spitting rounds on simple equipment. A little mischief to light mix the biz quick. Toad takes the evidence. BS for president.
A little bit further back, like here.
Smoke as I go for broke. No okey doke, no tricks, no trap, no hope for the hopeless folk hustling hoaxes. And
there you go.
No bogus
there you go.
It's getting down.
No bogus showbiz, yeah. You get the impression that both of these artists care about their craft and they're speaking their truth, you know. And Delight is just creating this very neutral kind of foundation for B.S. Skinner to tell people all the stuff on, and I think it's great teamwork. I'll go back a little bit. Here.
From the birth to the exodus.
That is his entire life and his entire... He's going to be here until the end of time doing it. That's his life story. Cool, that was more vocal-oriented one than sort of not serious and vocal yokel, and I've got a lot of time for that. I just don't know enough about turntablism and the like to really sort of comment or criticize on it. I don't think any of it is unnecessary. It's a very different experience to when people play these instruments sort of like traditionally or acoustically. I think it's nice to hear the, you know, like for B. Skinner to continue to be engaging for that 4 minutes that he was on decks is quite cool. We got kid stuff featuring B. Skinner.
And we will start our story. Now we are ready to begin.
Cool, I dig this. There's kind of a wrecked kind of wow, wow, wow. Like it does sound as coming from like a kid's storybook, right?
These are rhymes. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
Dope, dope, dope. I dig this. This is probably my favorite one. I like the innocence of it.
4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1.
I like the color in this. I like that melody there. I think that's kind of part of what I was missing. Like learning while the turntable turning had a bit more, had an interesting kind of bass line to it. Not serious. I think it was just the first and the flat too. You know, having that sort of more of a focus on the noise and percussive elements is kind of dope. But like to have sort of like a melody here that you can kind of hold on to as well as everything else.
The microphone's on, I'm ripping it.
It's kid stuff, I make it
Yes,
look
Skinner.
easy like it's fitness weekend sit-ups. Peanut butter for the hiccups, and it's a stick-up. Give me all my propers peacefully, I keep
It's nice to see that it can spit at a higher speed, man. I like this.
like obesity and freak the frequency. I drop
It's coming through nice and cleanly as well. That's the thing. You know, you can tell that Bieskin has been doing this for around 20 years because he's very clear with his pronunciation.
verse so sneakily and catch 'em off guard. Probably find me toasted like Pop-Tarts on chopped bars. Hip-hop's hard, but I make it look simple. Self-published like it's on Kindle, so peep the hymnal. And I don't break a sweat, so place your bet. Come meet your fate, it's a piece of cake. I leave a break at heaven's gates. It's lightweight, no burden at all. Toad step jumps, BS lays it in the best punks. Delights the secret weapon, teaching lethal lessons. Elemental full spectrum, come and get some. The best is yet to come. I red rum, the drums in a cummerbund. BS the number one.
Okay, cool. I'm just kind of listening to like the rhythm of what's being done as opposed to the vocals, which I know is kind of sinful because I'm reviewing this.
No burden at all. Toad step jumps, BS lays it in the best punks. Delights the secret weapon, teaching lethal lessons. Elemental
Another shout out to Delight, cool.
spectrum, come and get some. The best is yet to come. I red rum, the drums in a cummerbund. BS the number one.
BS number one. Okay, good stuff, right? This isn't even a trouble for them. Those little chimes that kind of were in this sort of mentioned at the start to know when to turn the page, right? It's clever callback to that. It's nice to have a little bit more color in this track. And so we've got like a melodic theme here that I can hold on to, which is really cool. I adore this. You know, it's so great if you can kind of do the wooga woogas and the scratches and stuff like that. That's dope. I know that Delight's fully capable on the decks in that regard. And it's great to have this kind of melodic theme that's being allowed to sort of exist as like a pseudo chorus in between the verses.
I'm ripping it.
It's child play. Loops of toy instruments, toy implements the
Yeah, he likes to do this kind of kid stuff, child's play stuff. He likes to sort of go back to the title of the song in the second verse.
BS gets intimate and lays it on you like a metric ton in. The bob guns got breaks for days, so shake a leg, partake, bring a bag of rag, cream of the crop, their vocabs from the dregs. They're a pinch of black pepper, I'm a powder keg. Devour vague voles vehemently, indecently, speak my piece rather frequently. You ankle biters face the fire as I take them higher. Iron will on my joints on point like barbed wire. Creating simple like hopscotch. I'm top notch and make it happen, capping. I'm what's cracking like pop rocks. A stopwatch to clock my rhyme on time. Some vodka, Topo Chico, and a splash of lime. Banaka for your alter ego. It's not fresh like.
Yeah, like there's not a lot for me to really talk about. The bwam 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 is repeating for that whole 4 minutes 30. So it's not like I can go, oh, this is like a chorus section, or oh, this is like a bridge section, and there's like a huge change in instrumentation. And I think that's not me criticizing, because I know it depends on the style or genre of music that you're working with.
I'm at my best right now and I'm not even signed.
There's nothing to it, that's a free throw beat.
You know, despite the not serious thing with B.S. Skinner, I have a feeling that maybe either he was being sort of, maybe B.S. Skinner is incredibly serious about what he's doing. There's a lot of passion for that. Number one, not even signed.
Yes, Toad and Delight catch wreck wherever we go.
3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Like, you'd have to have such a fundamental understanding of how the different rhythms worked. You'd have to have those sort of independent motor skills that come time with working on the decks long enough to really... Yeah, I'm wondering sort of whether this was premeditated or whether this was improvised. You'd have to, but then there's just so much work involved. I suppose if you practice, you can get the hang of it and sort of like memorize it. I suppose it's just like learning any other instrument, isn't it?
Mutual game from close range, steady aim. A drum at your head to hit the brain. Bringing these hot styles through. Go.
It's just nice to have something in that higher frequency range, as well as the kicks and the snares and the bass. Sounds a bit more full, you know? Hey, I'm developing that melody. Again, there's a lovely 16th note scratch groove. No, that's cool. That's dope. I dig that. That 16th note's been continuing throughout with the chord note accent. It's nice to see that, like, at the 4-minute mark, we're finally working with that melody and kind of shaking it up a little bit. And, like, I know that you can't really have that melody interfering with the rapping parts of it. That was B.S. Skinner's time to shine.
4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, and that was it. That was probably my favorite song, though. I liked Kid Stuff quite a lot. I feel bad because I haven't really spoken too much about what B.S. Skinner's been saying. I've been listening to it. My brain's sort of processing it because there's quite a lot being said, right? This is nanowatts. I think with Not Serious, the thing that kind of got me was made me feel a little bit weird about the bass was that the bass was like hard pan to the sides, and I'm not used to the bass being hard pan to the sides like that. I'm used to being the bass being in the middle of the mix. So it's kind of strange to have it kind of come like whop whop like that. Not quite sure what nanowatts is, but we'll find out.
My processes. I'm manifesting, dudes can't hack it. I pound my chest in a Letterman jacket. Better than average, you can't match this, but try to snatch it.
Alright, so like I'm really getting the impression from B.S. Skinner that he's thoroughly comfortable in how he's doing as a rapper. He's had experience, 20 years experience on the mic. He's really happy with working with Delight, and Delight's kind of killing it as well. Which, to be fair to both these musicians, they are doing incredibly well for themselves. Like, they're both performing really well.
Fakes claim and adds it to the blacklist, then multi-tracks it, composing musical madness. Delight crabs, transforms and stabs. BS shoots the gift to Gab and talks third person, certain with the pen and the pad. We mix it up in lab coats, so sad folks can have a laugh when I crack some dad jokes.
Oh, so we're kind of developing on that sort of like sense of humor. Because I've heard some stuff that's kind of made me kind of go, oh, that's not bad. That's good. He's got a bit of a sense of humor. I dig that. Yeah.
Who's that bloke? Well, mate, it's me. My agenda catching traction like an ATV. My headphones when I'm
See, he's clever. Gaining traction like an ATV. That's clever stuff. That's clever rhyming combined with the imagery presented and the wordplay and the symbolism, metaphors, and all that kind of stuff. He's clearly got a good head on his shoulders. I've got no complaints whatsoever with like the amount of skill and finesse involved.
like the ABCs. You may be G, but that ain't me unless you're referring to greatness on the A-list, but you ain't shit. You makeshift basic.
Oh, so we are calling out people now.
One-sided, two-faced. I'm a fresh pair of kicks and you're a shoelace.
Oh. Damn, a fresh pair of kicks and you're a shoelace. That's a savage beatdown. Nanowatts.
Stealth action, a rascal with a passion to cash in, but I'll accept checks, credits, and wax bins. Looking for that fast win. This classic me still playing with staying power like a record that's statically. I commence the battery of some drums that had to be killed soft.
I'm just kind of zoning out with this. Like, it's such a smooth, sort of repetitive kind of groove to it that my brain kind of shuts off listening to it. And I don't mean that as a criticism, because it's not really. There's some music that like it's constantly kind of grabbing at your attention and trying to get you involved in it. And this is just, it's literally just guy speaking his truth with a DJ telling a story. And I adore that. It's just, it's almost like, you know, I was talking about needing a dopamine hit. A lot of music is like basically created for people with attention deficit. You know, they just do not trust you to not become bored. And I'm not bored, I'm just vibing to it. But as a reviewer, I need to be paying attention.
Tasteful tragedy. A thief that speaks tongue in cheek off beat. Talk is cheap, but a thought is a lie, so get deep. Mince meat.
Like, but like that occasionally comes in. I can tell there's efforts to keep things sounding fresh, little reactions to things that have been said by B.S. Skinner.
I'm making in my wake and you can take it to the bank, cause I'm so dank and no thanks. I don't need to fit the mold that I'm told to. They can't relate because they're just a bunch of old dudes. It's all
Oh, we're calling out the old dudes who can't relate to the new wave of hip hop, I suppose.
try to plug me in your process. I count the losses of that obnoxious nonsense. So conference me in, just not on the weekend, cause that's when you might find me off the deep end.
Off the deep end. Damn, man, don't want to look at him when he's at his worst.
I pretend we can be friends the past time till I'm back home in my zone, and that's fine. Don't ask why I'm a workhorse in shorts with the force of a Porsche that's gonna bit off course. Morse code for an answer of sorts. Made a sport out of watching my...
It's nice that we're having these little dips in the energy levels there to kind of allow for space and to kind of let the listener kind of have something different aside from the womp womp. Because again, it sounds cool. They're cool sounds. It's just, you know, especially in a 5-minute track like this, there's got to be shifts.
With divorce. Till I'm a corpse, you might find me less than tangible. Shamanic journey, riding on my spirit animal.
Sorry, what was that last bit there? We'll go back a little bit.
Journey, riding on my spirit animal.
Wait, hang on.
Till I'm a corpse, you might find me less than tangible. Shamanic journey, riding on my spirit animal.
Oh, wow. So he's going to be continuing to develop even after he's gone. Wow. This is at a continuous ascension for B.S. Skinner. Again, really clever dude. I just think I'd need more time with what he's saying with his vocals to really process and appreciate them. And I kind of like that. There's a few rappers I've come across where you need to like read through the lyric sheet to catch all the little intricacies. And I've had people get grumpy with me because they're like, well, why didn't you just listen to it again? It's like, dude, sometimes you rap and there's just all the stuff that's being said and the listener needs time to digest it. And that's replay value, man. I can appreciate it. I still don't entirely understand what nanowatts means, and that was probably explained really clearly, and I'm just trying to sort of absorb everything else. Is that saying nano what? Again, I got nothing but love for the talent and skill on display from these two. That bum bum bum, that little bit of melody there is really welcome. It's so bass heavy, and I know this is like a stylistic preference for a lot of people. They really just kind of like their bass and their kind of samples. They're kind of, it's very, how do I say this? Like, maybe it's just because I see music in colors occasionally. I don't know. I don't know whether that's like just me making stuff up or not. I question it, but like, if I look at the colors involved with this, it's very, there's not a lot of oranges or greens or blues or purples or anything like that. It's very much just because like the noisy elements, the bwom, 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 you know, it's just very kind of bass and sort of percussion heavy. And it allows for B.S. Skinner to do whatever he wants on the mic. I'm just glad that we're cutting it up and adding some vocal samples and having this sort of synth sample here as well. It makes me very happy. Again, it would sound really dope through a subwoofer. You know, in a car stereo, this would be filthy and be phenomenal. Those loops. And there's a phaser or a flanger or something like that in there at the end. I got time for that. I got time for that. That's cool. Cool. You know, I've got to be really careful with these kind of reviews. Because I'm aware that, like, if I don't say a lot or if I don't emote a lot, especially when I've got the webcam like this, where it's a bit bigger, because I'm trying this out, because it's requests to make my webcam a bit bigger in videos. You know, I've had requests. I'm aware that I kind of have a bit of a resting bitch face. I don't totally emote a lot of the time, and it's kind of why I keep my face small on the screen most of the time so that the focus can be on the page of the video. And, you know, I own that. I think that it's just literally I've just needed to absorb so much information during those verse sections. And then during the instrumental parts, my brain is recovering and there's a blah, 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 you know, like, and that's very easy for me to understand. But then as well, it's very difficult because I don't, like with these, you know, full disclosure, I can play instruments like I can play the guitar, bass, drums, piano, ukulele. I can play a lot of different instruments. So like in songs where they have those instruments, I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand why they're doing that, what this is and what that is, etc. I don't have that kind of familiarity with turntablism and DJ decks and vinyl and all that kind of stuff. I understand a little bit of the lingo, but not a huge amount. I haven't listened to as much of this as I would want to. I want to listen to more of it. I want to. For all I know, like, I know I've spoken about, there weren't, like, many overall harmonies or anything like that. There were, like, several bits, but it was kind of very kind of, it was a very sort of monophonic experience throughout for most of it. You had the occasional colorful synth, but the focus, again, was on the way that, you know, Delight cuts and stitches the parts of the song together as a performance, which I think he's an incredible disc jockey. He's great on those decks, man. It's obviously he's very competent, you know, and B.S. Skinner is a really talented, skilled rapper. You know, I've got no complaints. Very creative and intelligent, and these two are basically a dream team. I don't know, man. Like, I'm aware that I don't always emote in these reviews, and it bugs me a little bit. But it's who I am as a person. So yeah, if it looked like I was bored, I wasn't. I'm just very much kind of just taking it in. Like, Honestly, I'll probably think about this overnight, and then tomorrow I'll be like, oh, right, that's the thing, you know? So if you're looking for an EP that has a whole lot of replay, go listen to this. If you like this kind of music, go listen to this. Again, I can't really complain about any of the elements. I think that it was cool to shift up some of the phrasing and sequencing of the different sort of cuts within his tracks. I liked stuff like Kid Stuff. I like that sample at the beginning where it talks about turning the page and it talks about how I feel like B.S. Skinner. This is very sort of like childlike. This is very like second nature to him. It's just innate to him. It's an easy thing. It's not even difficult. And learning while the turntable turning. I liked the manipulation of the vocals and like the pitch shifting and stuff like that. I think that just sounds cool. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of cool sounds that I enjoy, and I'm still figuring out how they were done. Maybe Delight can fill me in later on. Again, and I'll say it for the final time because I know I've said it a few times. There is more nuance to what B.S. Skinner was saying than some of the stuff I said about him simply talking about how he was capable. He backed it up. It's one of the few rappers I've listened to in his reviews where like he can say stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, you are actually that good. I get the impression from B.S. Skinner that he has to deal with a lot of people who don't necessarily appreciate or understand his style of rapping, and it is a shame because he's obviously. I honestly don't think he should worry about it, but at the same time, he's making material with that. So he's making material with that material, so just go for it, I guess. I'm not really. I don't actually know. I don't know really where these guys would go from here. Like whether they'd expand upon another EP or not. This kind of works well as a standalone record or a standalone EP. It'd be cool to see Delight work with other rappers, who like have different sorts of backgrounds and different sorts of directions and stuff. But we'll have to just see what happens. Again, my understanding is that Delight is pretty okay working on his own, and B.S. Skinner is a great enough rapper that he's going to find more collaboration projects in future, but the recording, mixing, and mastering was pretty on point. I've got no real criticisms of this. I just was not serious with that bass, man. It was an intense feeling. Those basses really kind of cut into those sides, but I think that was a stylistic thing, and if that's what they're into, that's cool. That's effectively my review of B.S. Skinner and Delight EP. It's rare after reviewing around 1,500 songs. Creating around 500 of these reviews or so. It's very rare for me not to really know how to communicate about something that I've listened to, but I've done my best to try and describe it. I'm sure, and more importantly, for you watching this review, you can make your own minds about it, It's important for us to listen to things and be critical in our thinking about them and our analysis of them. There might be people who are more knowledgeable about what was being done on the turntables and who can be like, oh, that shouldn't have been done, or that should. But I think it sounded dope. And it'll be cool to see where Delight goes from here, and B.S. Skinner as well. He's pretty on point. Please do go check out B.S. Skinner and Delight's various social medias and SoundCloud page. Stay cool and stay safe. Remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. But they've got all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Catch you next review. Spider hands out.